Well, want to welcome once again to the Barbed Wire Bite Show. I'm here with your host, as always, Pitbull number one, aka Gary Wolf. How's it going today?
Good, man. What's happening, guys? Here for another day of talking shit and smack.
Yeah. Well, I'm still talking about, and I'm wondering, what do you think? You're used to being in Philly, New York, the big area, where the heels are king. The wrestling world's still kind of real in A&W, that's root beer. AEW wise, Cody Rhodes getting booed out of the fucking building, fighting Malachi Black. Do you think he's got to do the heel turn, or do you think they just got to pray when they go back to Florida, everybody cheers him?
I personally think if I was in the back, I'd make him a heel. I'd make him turn heel, just to see what's up. They got a lot of talent over there that are faces now. You know, they could have made some of them guys heels. You know what I mean? I mean, got Danielson.
He's a natural heel, in my opinion. He looks like a douchebag.
But see, he's the heel, and this is true. Vince did not want this to happen, but this could happen in AEW. Danielson can be the babyface heel, like Stone Cold, like The Rock. You know what I'm saying? Like all these other guys before their time. You know what I'm saying? Guys that they hated them, but they loved them, like Stone Cold, biggest heel in the business, but they love him, and he sold more merchandise than anybody. Come on, man, he was great, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes. He pretty much took the Sandman's gimmick.
I was just gonna ask you, was there, because I love my Stone Cold. I have my shirts. I have my foam finger that went like this. Wife's favorite wrestler of all time. Was there heat? Was Hack mad? Was he kind of like, motherfucker, I am doing this on an indie, more so an indie level, where you're doing it on national TV. You stole my gimmick and you're the biggest guy ever. Was there heat, or was it just like, yeah, good for him?
Knowing Sandman like I do, he'd say good for him. Fuck it. He'd crack open a beer with him and drink it with him, which he did at the one night stand.
Yeah, I remember.
So there was no heat there. And like I said, we were tight. The Philly boys were real tight with Steve when he was in ECW, because he hung out with us majority of the time. You know, instead of him driving all the way to New York, it made sense just to stay in Philly.
Now, my question is, you watched the AEW, the Grand Slam, last week. We got Taz, and I got to agree with you. You say you want to see Taz in the singlet. Boy, I fucking don't have that side shot anymore either. I feel like fucking, what's his name, Jack LaLanne with the juicer after watching Taz. But Hook, his kid, got cheers. The crowd, they were there in New York, the crowd, you could hear it a couple times go, Hook, Hook, Hook. How's this kid gonna? What's the payoff with Hook? I mean, is he training to be a wrestler?
Oh, probably. I am sure Taz is training him to wrestle. Absolutely. And I bet he's been in judo since he was a kid. You know what I mean? So knowing Taz, and obviously knowing all these other guys, I noticed now, they're going to try to get their kid a job immediately. You know what I mean? They got to take care of their babies. I could have did what my father and my family did. They owned businesses on the boardwalk. My grandpa invented the poker machine. He made the first one. You know what I mean? I had stores on the boardwalk when I was 18. Hot dog stand, water ice stands. But I've always wanted to be a wrestler. But on my level, thinking that I'm going to be a wrestler, it wasn't going to happen. I used to watch with my grandpa on Saturday, and I would say, oh, man, I'd love to do that. But fuck, look at the size of these guys. They're monsters. I mean, this is the 80s when these guys were jacked up, man. Every wrestler was big. And if they weren't big, they were fat. So they were still big. You know what I'm saying? It's not like nowadays you get in a ring and you see a guy 220, 230, and then the guy next to him is 160 pounds. You know, I watched Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor.
Terrible.
Finn Balor's a good worker. I'm not saying he's not, but his body is a boy. It's not a man. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the kind of shit. Like, the guy that works for AEW, great promos.
Are you talking about my man MJF?
MJF, the ring man. Okay. Great promos. He's got it down. He's got psychology down. His body ain't there yet. He still looks like a child. Like his he looks like if he took his shirt off in front of me, I'd be like, what are you, 12 years old, 15 years old? You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't, I just think the guy's got to get in there and train. Even Cody has gotten bigger.
Yeah, he's put in, and I think he's put in a lot of natural work. He's definitely gotten a lot very chiseled on, and it helps. It helps if you're next to Arn Anderson.
I mean, he put at least 15 pounds.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Now, I got to ask you people out there who listen, was that a shoot, or did Arn Anderson fall off the ring?
He fell. I mean, that big belly in dress shoes going around with.
Listen, it's not.
I've been in rings.
Telling you,
it's about like that. You don't, when your guts hitting that post, you don't have much room for error.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I've done that move before. It's not an easy move to do. I don't care what you say. It was hard. I mean, for the first time, but for having that belly out there, I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it didn't seem like the camera really got it.
No,
and that's what. Yeah, and that's what told me maybe this was a shoot and he fell off and he was really fucking pissed. Because I know I've seen Arn pissed. I had to wrestle Arn Anderson pissed as a kid. And I drove home like this the whole way home because I got fucking brain busted for the finish. He fucking laid it in on me, man.
Every time I see Arn, especially now, all I can picture is when Kevin Nash dressed up like him in the neck brace. All I picture is a guy going. So every time somebody says Arn Anderson, I just go like that because
that's great, man.
I never asked you, and I do want to ask you. My favorite company of probably the last 15 years was Lucha Underground on Robert Rodriguez's El Rey network. Did you watch that?
Yes, I did.
Now, I loved that. I loved how they had, this was fans, if you've never seen it, watch it, buy it. This was watching a television show with wrestling. It wasn't a wrestling show on television. It was a television show with wrestling leading to it was a horror movie with wrestling.
It was a soap opera. It was a soap opera with horror in it, is what it was. Because they gave you that story, especially when Phoenix fell in love with what's her name that married Cage.
Melissa Dos Santos.
Yes. I liked the show. It was a good show, and it showed a lot of guys who had talent out there that nobody knew of. You know, and they got them over because they were able to show what they can do. So, I mean, anybody who worked for them, I think we're very happy they did. I don't think they cared what they made, to be honest with you, as long as they got on television. And Mark Cuban is the one who owned the network that aired it. I think Mark Cuban, and he also did New Japan too, Mark Cuban. He was running New Japan on his network also.
I don't think I ever told you this, but I'll tell you, my son was a little bit younger, but he loved it. He loved, and like you said, stars, Phoenix, Pentagon, Prince Puma is now Ricochet, Johnny Mundos, that's Johnny Hennigan, Cage, all these. But my son, I had met Diamond Dallas Page. I had interviewed DDP. first wrestler I ever talked to. And he said, you ever watch that Lucha Underground? I said, I got to tell you, I said, my son, we'd have been about maybe 7 at the time. I said, he knows wrestling's predetermined. I said, he understands all that. But when that goddamn Mundo comes on the TV, he's throwing Kleenex at him. He's throwing boxes. He's hucking DVDs. Hates that guy. And Paige is laughing so hard. And sorry, he's like, well, that's my friend. And I said, well, cool. I said, I know he's got a movie coming out. I'd love to help him promote it. Calls me like 10 minutes later. He's like, hey, this is, Johnny Mundo and all that. And he would ask me, he's like, so does your son? He mailed my son fanny packs, shirts, flyers, posters, and he would call me, does your son like me? He's like, nah, I hate your guts. He throws trash at the TV when he sees you. So, but now think of what a heel that is, that a child who knows what he's watching is a soap opera, but he's adamant enough to throw garbage at a television set.
We used to have the fake bricks when we were kids. They were like foam bricks, and my girl's grandfather, my grandfather, we used to always throw them at the TV, especially if the Phillies or the baseball teams were losing. That was crazy shit when we were younger. Like I said, kids today don't know. They just don't know, man. Like, they would cry while we were thriving. They would cry. You know what I'm saying? As far as technology and shit like that. Give us a beeper and we're happy as shit. These kids today, give them a beeper, they wouldn't know what to do. They'd probably break down and cry. I'm not kidding. They would.
Who had the most heat? Was it Shane when he broke your neck? Did he have more heat than anybody in ECW with that one?
That turned him into the biggest heel ECW had. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And then having Rick Rude bring me back made it even better. So that made it even more, I was surprised about that, because Paul was tight with Rude. And WCW happened to fire Rude. Well, he actually got hurt. Him and Sting had a match in Japan, and he got hurt. And but yeah, I was actually surprised they brought him in, and they were going to use him in my angle with Shane, because they knew at first they didn't want to do anything, and then by the time I convinced them to do it, they knew we had a year and a half. We had at least eight months. So that 8 months is going to be a year, and we might have added maybe 2 or 3 extra months. You know what I mean? That was a long angle, and it worked so well that it made Rick Rude have an angle with Francine. It made Rick Rude have an angle when they had heat with Shane. They built all this thing up, you know what I mean, which was good. It helped us out. Plus, I really like Rick, and he was cool to me and my partner, and I had no problem doing anything for him. You know what I mean?
When Francine at the 4-way made the turn, and I remember the 4-way was really neat. It was, let's see how good my memory is, Jericho, Scorp, Pitbull 2, and Shane. And it's a big 4-way. The whole TV show was the 4-way, or the commercial tape, however you bought it.
That was a great.
Shane in the beginning's like, all right, I'm going to do it. I don't know what he's saying. I'm going to do it for you. Well, you didn't know. He was talking to Francine. When that turn happened, how much planning went into her leaving you for Shane? Or was that one of the famous Paul Heyman, you know what, tonight she's turned on you? Or was there a lot of preparation involved?
Oh, we built that up for a long time. You know what I mean? Because in the beginning, that's when the guys started liking her. We were very protective of her. And then once the angle happened and she realized, oh, this is the real Francine now. When she was with the Pitbull, she was just pretending. Now you got a bitch ballet who will do anything she can for money and gold. You know what I mean? That's what she wanted to be. And to be the king of extreme for girls, Paul told her straight to her face, you want to be the first chick to go through a table? And she was just like, I don't know. where you won't even feel it. I mean, we would not hurt you. Because I really liked Francine. She was nice to me. You know what I mean? She was like a sister. So we would not have hurt her at all. And we had many managers. But yeah, we put her through the table. That place went fucking crazy. The whole roof almost came off that building. I don't care what the Dudleys say. They could put Moolah and her girlfriend through millions of tables. It don't make a difference. We're the first ones to do it. That's all that counts.
Now, how was it that, and I mean, I never thought anything of it until I saw interviews where they made it. Anytime Shane did an interview, she was with. I don't care if he did a fucking shoot interview for another company, she was with him. Did Paul Heyman say, "I want you to play it up. I want people to think you're fucking. You're a couple." Did they do it like that, or are they just like really close and they got along good?
I think they just really clicked, and it made her personality come out as a heel. You know, because we were always at that time we were like the Stone Cold. People booed us, but people cheered us. You know, some people called us Jews. A lot of people didn't like it this way, so it didn't make a difference. Changed her career. It totally helped her. Next, when he DDT, right? It was insane, if I'm correct.
Who do you think was better, her or Buell?
You still there?
Are you there? Okay.
Now it's in progress.
Yeah, we got booted. Technical difficulties. Who was better, Francine or Beulah?
As far as what, worker?
Yeah. No pressure on this question.
I would say Francine. You know what I mean? Because Dreamer pretty much took care of Beulah. You know, he liked Beulah. So
I did too.
Even though it was Raven's idea to bring her in. You know what I'm saying? So, I
don't think anybody ever knows, but remember the one, and I don't care what anybody says, my opinion. Dreamer didn't get over until he piled. They can say, oh, he got over when the Sandman came. Nobody gave a fuck. When he pile drove Beulah, he got over. He had the biggest bulging fucking hard on, which I don't blame him. I would have too, but I still say that's when he got over. When he pile drove her, did the crucifix, went out in the crowd with the hat guy and everybody. To me, that was the moment he got over. But I mean, lucky guy, you know. I mean, I was thankful he showed me her panties, but hell, he married her. You know, has kids with her. You know,
he did that with every girl. Honestly, every girl in ECW, I think he ended up pile driving. Now that you say it.
That's so. I like Miss Patricia, but no one knows whatever happened to her. She's just there with the meanie, and then she was just gone. I always thought she was pretty hot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I think I was on my way out when she was coming in. You know, I'm not really sure, but they did put her with the meanie.
Yeah, I never got that. She's like the meanie babe. She's covering him with like fucking whipped cream and that, and I was like. The meanie's got a hot woman. Oh, she's gone. And then shortly after, that's when Lady Alexandra kind of came in, and she was just kind of there. But to me, the main two were always Beulah and Francine.
Yeah, they were. Well, like I said, I had to work with Francine a lot, you know, and she helped us a lot. I gotta admit, it's always good to know that you have a manager that knows the business and can help you in a match, you know. So.
What was it nice working with? Because I've told you this before. I've said it. I always thought it was bullshit that you and Shane didn't do a pay-per-view and go around the loop, you know, on the pay-per-views. But was it? I mean, did you like working with her when she was with Shane? Was it just like the continuation? Just keep going around.
We did the whole loop, man. I personally thought it was before the pay-per-view, because I thought I was working him in the pay-per-view. So we did the whole loop. I remember we were in Pittsburgh doing a dog collar match. And it was hilarious because, I mean, we were getting heat on each other, but yeah, remember, he's from Pittsburgh. So he's kind of a face there. I was the bad guy. I'm like, you broke my neck and you're cheering for him, you know? Typical Pittsburgh fans, which is great. But this one lady just kept like riding me, man. Finally, I got pissed off. I got out of the ring, went up to her. I said, you better shut up, you ugly fat bitch. And she said, what? I said, you heard me, you witch. Shut up. Well, matter of fact, why don't you leave? Right? And she said, what'd you say? I said, you heard me. And I got close to her. I said, why don't you leave? Before I was done saying leave, her hand was already coming around. Open hand, shot right across the face. And when she hit me, I was more in shock because I was laughing. And that's how mad I got her. But I'm falling back, and I remember tripping over the chain. And I hear Francine giggling and laughing, and then I hear Shane laughing. And I'm selling like, oh, you know what I mean, going crazy. And I wanted her thrown the fuck out, man. I really did. So we went in the back after the match, and we went everywhere. We were doing, like, he would have me up for a tombstone. I'd shake my legs, fall back, pick him up for a tombstone, or we would do the opposite with a cartwheel. We were doing some good shit. We were getting ready to put on a fucking 5-star match for the pay-per-view. I mean, that's what we were practicing, that pay-per-view match. And I went in the back that night, and I remember, man, I said, yo, where's the head of security? I'm like, you got to tell her, she got to throw her out. I mean, I still had her handprint on my face. That's how good she got me. Francine laughing still, and he's laughing. I'm like, all right, motherfuckers, what'd you do? And and Shane started laughing. He's like, man, that lady used to babysit me when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, little brat. And I'm like, and you knew about it? And Francine knew all about it, man. They got me real good that night, man. They got me good. But the place, I mean, the whole building in Pittsburgh started screaming, she's hardcore. As soon as she laid me out, because I took a bump for her anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because it was awesome. But they got me good that night, man. But yeah, we did the Florida loop. We did all the loops. And honestly, we didn't have to talk about anything except for the new finish that night of the pay-per-view. But then that's when Paul was like, all right, I want you in the crowd. I want Anthony to work him. And I was like, all right, you know, that's what you want. That's what you want. And even Shane was surprised because, like I said, we got all, this was all planned already. I mean, we had it was like a Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero match with power toward the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was good. It was good. And we actually worked up to, I think, 45 minutes just to make sure we were covered, you know. But it didn't happen that way. And to be honest with you, all I wanted was revenge for him breaking my neck. You know, I had no intentions I did not want to be the heavyweight champion. Television champion, I could do. Tag team champions, I can do. But a heavyweight champion is a lot of pressure for somebody. I didn't want that pressure. You know what I'm saying? So at the time, and he's a better heel than he'd be a better champion anyway. So that's how they did it, and that's how they set it up. So
what was
what are
it?
you gonna do?
This is a hard question because you're not Shane, but so I remember Shane, I'm old, and I remember Shane in UWF. He was just there. I remember Shane, he was a dynamic dude, bad gimmick, nothing. Goes to ECW, fucking franchise. Guy's awesome. Goes to the WWF at the time. He's the Dean. Bad gimmick. Back to ECW. Wow, guy's fucking amazing. Goes to WCW. Still kind of the same gimmick. Goes to XPW. why was it that, in your opinion, everywhere Shane Douglas went, he sucked, but in ECW, he was on a level, a Stone Cold level. He was like the best heel in the business at the time. Great promo. He's a hell of a worker. Why was he able to be so much there, and everywhere else he went just kind of like, eh?
Because number one, he's able to do it. Number two, he's confident enough to do it. Number three, the bosses allow him to do it because they're confident in him. Okay? That's like Bruce Pritchard telling me one time, oh man, I get Shawn Michaels and Triple H out there. They'll be dead on. I don't care if they're a second on before or a second after. They're that close. Now you bring Bret Hart out there, I got fucking problems. Like he's going to go at least 10 minutes over time, which is $10 million. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I can't have that. So when I'm doing a promo or if I'm doing an angle where guys are doing promos, I have to be able to trust that person. And that's what they didn't do with Shane when Shane was in WWF. They made him the Dean. That was a stupid gimmick.
Very much.
You know what I mean? Did they make him Shane Douglas in WCW?
Yeah, but he kept that same thing. Dick Flair, I hate you, Flair. And to me, I think that held him back. I don't think, I guarantee, like every promo I heard, Dick Flair held me. I don't think Shane Douglas was a blip on Ric Flair's radar, where I think Shane Douglas had sleepless nights over this guy.
You're the doc. Let me ask you something. Did Ric Flair and Shane Douglas ever wrestle?
Yes. When he went to that second time in WCW, when it was fucking Russo, yeah, I did that, booking, they did have a match. Douglas went over. But the thing is, if you weren't a smart fan at the time or a sheet reader more so, you never knew there was heat between the two. So it was a real stupid angle. It's like, oh, we got these two hate each other. No, the average viewer, which makes up 98% of the crowd, they didn't know.
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what the heat was. I thought personally the heat was Shane never got a chance to wrestle Ric Flair.
Ric Flair at the time, I think Shane was the young kid. Pillman was the young kid. Flair said, I want to work with, and I think Flair was on a committee. He wasn't the sole booker, but I think Flair was like, I want to work with this Pillman kid. And I think Shane, from what I hear, was like, well, this fucker should work with me. No offense to Shane, Brian Pillman worked circles around him. Pillman was on another level. If I was Flair, I would have worked with Pillman too over Shane. He was a dynamic dude. I wouldn't have worked with him.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I never understood the heat, and I never understood. That's why I said, did he ever wrestle him? Because I was always thinking maybe Flair didn't want to wrestle him, and Shane always wanted to, and that's what pissed him off. I had no idea.
Somebody asked Flair about him in a shoot many years after WCW had closed, and they said, what did you think of him saying that? And he's like, Shane Douglas right now is a clerk at a Walmart. He's like, I don't care anything about him. He never became a doctor. He's nobody to me. He's like, I'm Ric Flair. He's nothing. He works at a Kmart. And I remember he said it with like some sheer hate, but it's kind of like, well, this guy had been badmouthed, on the internet for 20 years by this guy. So, but at the end of the day, yeah, Flair and Shane are very different.
Like I said, guys change, man. And they're ECW, and he was in WCW, and I was in the back. And honest to God, he walked right by me, acted like he didn't even know who the fuck I was. I swear. And I was just like, oh, that's how it is. Okay. Either he didn't see me or he was a very lucky person that night. I'm going to be perfectly fucking honest with you. That he even made it home safe that night alive. Seriously. Yeah, I was very, very like, he looked at me like he knew me, but I'm like, how you can't forget my face. You know what I'm saying? We worked together a lot. So I didn't know what was up with that. But I'm sure he's very glad, and I'm glad I didn't do what I wanted to do. You know.
What was I got another. Your internet connection's bubbling on us today.
I know we're getting a lot of pauses and shit. How did you? What did you feel about the ending of the horror story?
You know, I liked it, and in the same sense, it was kind of comical. Like all the writers, like no talent losers, and turned into zombies. So I was kind of like, I liked it, and it was really sweet. But in the same sense, it was like because this season wasn't campy; it was like all serious. Then at the end, it kind of took a dip, you know, to be kind of funny. But I liked it. I liked how it all panned out. That little girl was evil as shit.
That's the girl is what got me. You know what I mean? The evilness of that little fucking bitch. For her knowing this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna get, and nobody's gonna stop me. I'm gonna be the best, and I will suck every drop of blood out of your body to do it. And that's what freaked me out. It was just like, wow, like she's a kid of today. Absolutely.
The agent, I'm sorry. And I looked at my wife and I was like, I would have sex with her in front of you right now on this floor. You know, she is so hot. And she was another one. She was just so evil. Like, yeah, well, you know, I need these pills. I'll get my, you know, what you tell that guy, you don't got no talent. You want to listen to him? You want to listen to me? This pill will make you, you know, like a big time drug dealer. But I'm anxious to see how this next part, if it's going to fit in with it or if it's just totally different.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, the different they are, the better I like them. I mean, that's me. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we missed Heels. They gave us a week off for that.
Yeah, I'm dying to see how that. I hope that has another season because there's only 2 left and a lot of story to tell.
Dude, they definitely got another season. If they don't, something's wrong. They weren't promoted right or something. Because I mean, I even promote it when I go to shows. I ask guys, "You watch that?" They're like, "No, I don't even know what it is." I'm like, "Well, if you want to learn about the business back in the old days, watch the show because you'll learn something." You know what I'm saying? Like the names of the show, kayfabe. You know what I mean? The Office,
House Show,
The Switch. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've been to shows. I went to a show in Ohio probably 4 years ago, and the guys are like, "Yeah, you're working this guy, you're tagging up with him, and you're working him, and blah blah blah." And I just remember saying, "Okay, you know what the Office is, right?" And he just went, "What office?" And I'm like, "What office?" He's like, "Yeah, what office?" I said, "Okay, I'll talk to you later. I'll let you know what office to go to." I said, "I'll let you know." And I remember looking at the girl next to me, and I was just like, "He didn't just say that, right?" She goes, "Yeah, he fucking said it." And that was a girl. She knew what the Office was. This chick. She in Ohio. I don't know her name, and I apologize, but she's over in Ohio as a worker, and she even knew what the Office was. And I just remember saying, and this guy's getting in the ring in front of, I don't know, 3,000 people, and he don't know shit. You know what I mean? It just blew my mind. So. A lot of guys I notice are trying to learn how to wrestle on wrestling shows instead of going to a wrestling school.
Yeah, like the one episode was called the Dusty Finish. Now, who the hell knows about it? You're either a wrestler or you're like a really smart fan that like does all your backstage stuff. Nobody else can know what Dusty Finish is the name of an episode. But I looked, I was like, oh shit, it's Dusty Finish. It's a great name, you know. I like the Dusty Finish. Fuck it just got overused.
Oh yeah, but like I said, I just like how they work in all the words and the names. You know, they're trying to smarten up the dumb marks. You know what I mean? But the smart marks already know. You know, that's pretty much how it is.
Were you surprised? Because Emil, the main guy, Jack Spade, he was at Grand Slam, like Punk went out, gave him the hug. are you surprised he didn't get involved? I was like, okay, he's gonna jump the ring and help Cody because that's his buddy, but
Probably, but not right now because he's got to do the show. So they're not going to do anything with him until, like, I mean, if they were desperate, I think, and they said, oh shit, our ratings are the shits and we ain't getting season 2, ain't going to happen. Yeah, they would have did something to get people to notice more. So they just did it a modest, calm way by saying, oh, that's so-and-so from the show Heels. And they kept it that way, which I thought was better. It wasn't more like, I'm begging you to watch my show. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it.
When you hit the nail on the promotion for the show's the shits, because it was promoted to people like me, because I would get the press releases for it to post. This is Stephen Amell. He played the Green Arrow. Now he's in Heels. It wasn't like, look at this new wrestling show and look at how we're bridging the gap, between professional wrestling and television. And back in the day, it was like the guy that played Arrow is now in a wrestling show. It was all promoted as watch the guy that was the Green Arrow. Not bad. I mean, that was a popular show, but it's different audiences.
Yeah, I mean, I knew shit. My old neighbor loved that Arrow show. She was addicted to that show. Now that you bring that up. Yeah, that's odd. I don't know why they wouldn't have. Yeah, like I don't see why Vince didn't have that up on the commercials. I know how Vince is. He'll buy every single commercial there is on his SmackDown and Raw. But even AEW, I mean, TNT should have. I mean, they should have bought, time on TNT to promote the show. I mean, I only seen it once in a blue moon on TV, and it was going through Stars, which is a private company, I guess. Maybe that's why. The Stars is like an HBO.
Well, that's Lionsgate, so I mean, they've got money. I just remember getting when I got about a year ago, I got the first press report to post on the website, and it was like, Stephen Amell from the Green Arrow. I was like, oh, I like the Green. Oh, it's a show about wrestling. That's neat. But every promo I ever got to post was just press release. Hey, Green Arrow, he's now a wrestler. It was like, there's other ways you can market this because there's a crowd for it.
Shit, between you and me, maybe they thought it was going to fail from the get-go. Maybe they had no idea it was going to turn into this. How many shows has this happened to? Where they made a show and was like, man, this is the fucking shit. We're not even going to use it. And pull it out 2 years later. Example, Seinfeld. Seinfeld sat on a fucking wall for 3 years?
Yeah.
And then the guy pulls it down and says, holy shit, we got a fucking great show here. Which made everybody in the TV business millionaires. That's the truth.
Yeah, I don't get, and I get shows like that sometimes. Be like, everybody should watch this show, and then it was kind of like the case of, oh man, this show was neat. If it would have came out 10 years later, biggest thing on television, very ahead of its time. I don't know if Heel's so much ahead of its time, but definitely AEW should promote it. I mean, Cody is friends with this guy. Have him come out there. Did you watch you can even do it kind of tongue in cheek. Cody, you should have done what I did against my opponent on Heels. There's crossover.
Maybe they're going to do that. I mean, he's coming out with his own show with his wife, like Miz and Maurice. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah, roads to the top.
Hey, look, let me tell you something, man. He wouldn't be where he is today if he didn't leave Vince.
No.
Vince was holding him and his brother back more than you even know. Okay? Believe me. Stardust, Gold Dust. I mean, that's a disgrace to their fucking father. Okay? Come on. And I knew Dusty. He was the fucking nicest guy I ever met, man. I'm telling you. I remember I was in Tennessee working for TNA when they were running it in Tennessee, and they would give you a piece of paper and it says White Trash Cafe. And there's a place called the White Trash Cafe. It's right down the street. So they gave us a ticket so we can go there and eat for free. Because they didn't even have fucking, people that set up food and all that shit. They just had that restaurant. I'm like, I'm going to go down there and sit in that restaurant. I'm afraid I'm going to get shot. That's what I said. And I remember I went there to wrestle AJ Styles. They called me up, said, come on in and wrestle AJ Styles. I said, absolutely no problem. We'll have a great match. No problem. And then next thing you know, he didn't want to work with me. So I remember I was upstairs and Dusty came upstairs and he knew I was pissed. He's like, what's wrong? I said, I flew all the way to Tennessee to wrestle fucking AJ. I said, what's the problem? You don't want to wrestle. And he goes, well, why? I go, well, the guy said something about he don't think he can pick me up and put me in his finish where he hooks my hands and I fall on my face. I think he was nervous about my neck because my neck was broke before. And I told Dusty, I said, I'm 100%. Look at me. I say, I'm bigger than fucking he is. I make him look small.
AJ's not a big guy. I'd stand next to him.
No, he's tiny. He had short hair. So Dusty was real cool, man. He's like, Gary, man, just chill out, daddy. He goes, it's all right, baby. I'll be right back. Let me go find out what's up. And I'll find out what the real story is. That's what he said, the real story. So he came back and told me he was afraid to fucking work with me because he thought he would hurt my neck because he didn't think it would get me up. I said, I'm light as a feather. You know that, Dusty. He goes, well, we got you in another match, baby. I got you covered. You and Brian Lee. I said, well, that's fine. I worked Brian Lee a million fucking times. I don't care. You know what I mean? That makes it even easier for me. So I worked Brian Lee. They showed it on TV 4 fucking times. That match, me versus Brian Lee. Now, if they would have let me wrestle AJ, they would have called me back and said, let's do a pay-per-view because we would have had a great match. I didn't wrestle Thunder Justin Lager for 45 minutes many times on tours if it wasn't because I could work. Me and my partner were in the ring with Hase, Sasaki, Ute Honda, you name the guys that people, Suzuki, people that wish they could just master fucking Chono, master Saito, people that they just wish they could get in the same ring with and take a bump. I was working these guys 45 minutes. So, I mean, I had the experience. It was like, dude, this is a piece of cake, man. Come on, let's go. You know what I mean? Let's do it. I was ready. And like I said, they put me with Brian, which I didn't care, but I was, I never worked AJ. I really wanted to work him. I wanted to, let's go. You know what I mean? And he missed out because I could go. At that time, I was rolling, dude. Like I said, I would do 45 minutes with Lager, Chono, all them fucking guys. Muda. It cracks me up. I was even in the ring with Baba. All the old guys would jump in the ring with us, especially if they took me, Vader, and Scorpio together. They put us against every old timer there is in Japan, man. It was fucking crazy, and we learned a lot. I learned a lot, but yeah, I was pissed about that. Dusty was even upset because Dusty's even Dusty yelled at him and said, what the fuck is your problem, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got a guy coming here, wants to put you over, wants to work with you and put a good match on, and you're like bumming them out about it. I even told him, I said, why are you so nervous? But then later on, I realized what was going on. While other guys like myself and most other guys, after they wrestle, what do? We unwind, go to a bar, get some drinks, have a good time. AJ and his friends weren't doing that. They were running upstairs to their hotel room, plugging their Xbox in, playing their video games. That's what they were into. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the two generations changed in our business.
And AJ, I would love to see AJ go. It's my son's favorite worker, actually. I would love to see him go to AEW, get a nice big run, see what he can do with an Omega. But he's pretty set. He's a little older. He's got a nice spot where he is. He's not killing himself. I kind of think he'll probably just retire over there in WWE.
Well, they're taking care of him, man. He ain't working that much. They got that big black guy with him. I don't know his name, but he's a monster.
Omosa or Amorsa.
Yeah,
I don't watch
he's
the show
huge.
much. He's a big
What
guy.
the fuck was he? A basketball player or a football player? That guy's a monster. He's going to go to Japan and work. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now, because he's not going to turn down the money they're going to give him. Okay, right now AJ Styles can go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and wrestle a match, and they will pay him $100,000. You're not going to say no to that.
Now, I got a question for you before you have to go. I know you don't know these guys. Well, at least I shouldn't say you don't know them. You may. I think a lot of fans think AEW's fucking up. The most over team in WWE the last 10 years was Enzo and Big Cass. They might have been pains in the asses. They're young. They probably didn't know. They were money. Money. Is AEW missing the boat? Not all at once. And now the opponents of the Young Bucks, you could say Enzo and spell it different, and Taz, use a different letter. You could have them come down. Would the place go insane? Are they missing the boat not getting these guys?
Oh, boy. I saw Cass lately, and he got in great shape.
Looks good. So
he really changed. Because the last time he had a seizure somewhere. So he must have been on something, or something wasn't right with his system, and he got it together, put it that way. He looks great. Enzo, I don't know. See, we don't know what goes on between them two. You know what I mean? Whatever they did to each other could have hurt them so bad, they don't ever, ever, ever want to work together. You know what I mean? Which is a shame, because like you said, they were the #1 seller of merchandise in WWF at one point. And that's their problem. They made sure every fucking buddy knew it. You don't know who I am? I'm fucking Enzo. I cut promos and jump around the ring in sneakers. And he's my man Cass. 7 foot whatever.
7 foot tall.
He stands there and picks his nose. But we sell a lot of fucking merchandise, more than all you motherfuckers, so fuck you. And I think they did something like that, to where the guys in Vince's locker room said, you got 2 choices, get up and get out, or you're going to get fucked up. And I think they chose get up and get the fuck out, because that's happened before and I've seen it. You can't have a big head, and don't be rubbing in you're making a ton of fucking money and you're doing a 3-minute match and you're selling more merchandise than anybody. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Good for you. That's your business. I remember in my day, we don't talk about money. Like, you don't know what I make. I don't know what you make. It's none of our business. It's none of your business. It's none of my business. That was shit you just don't talk about. Because when that shit happens and gets involved, that's when problems happen. Do you see what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. The Big Boss Man was wrestling Nails on a show. Big Boss Man was bringing in about 20 grand that night. Nails brought in 5,000 that night. Nails was upset. Now I'm friends with Nails, okay? I know, and I was good friends with the Big Boss Man. Awesome. Worked them both. Nails was wrong. Nails just started working maybe 2-3 weeks in, and he's already expecting to make the money the Big Boss Man's making. You see what I'm saying? And that caused a heat. That caused the problem. That got an argument with Vince, and then one thing led to another. Nails is fired. But do you see what I'm saying? That's why when I broke into business, it was always like, yo, whatever you make, Gar and Anthony, keep to yourself. unless you want to tell somebody and they tell you what they make. But don't believe them, because the 9 times out of 10, they're going to lie. So we were always told to, hush hush on what we make. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know what the story is nowadays. I mean, kids nowadays are working for free just to get on a show. You know what I mean? So.
And when I was thinking of, I was going to book a show, one thing led to another. But there was a team. I'm not going to get into it. It was, I liked them, and I knew somebody that booked them in another state. And like, well, we usually charge $1,000. And I was like, yeah.
For the team?
Yeah. By the end of a half-hour conversation, I could have got them both for $50 a piece, and they would have paid their way. But I'm sitting there like, man, these guys they're talking themselves down. I wasn't like I was going to do anything where they were on television. This is a fucking regular hall, but it was like, how bad do these guys want to work? Vince McMahon and Jim Ross are not going to be scouting anything in my area. Why would you talk yourself down in price?
Dude, when I started, my worst check was $15. Then I got a job 6 nights a week. I was making $75 a night. So that was pretty good. But then I remember, eventually after we made it, we would have a Friday show, maybe 2. Saturdays, always 2 shows. And we would bring in, we were getting $1,200 a team, $600 a piece on independent shows. And this is back in the fucking early 90s, late 80s, and we didn't hear fucking one bitch noise about it. They were like, Pitbulls are this much, no problem. So I would go out Friday, come home with $1,200. I wrestled 2 times. You know what I mean? And what could they be? 2 5-minute matches? And I would do the same thing on Saturday. If I wasn't in ECW or in Japan, that's my indies. That's what we would do on independent. That's how much work there was back in the day. See,
here where I am, when we've got I think we're down to about 1 indie now, but like I asked one guy, I was like, what do you guys, if you don't mind me asking, what do you make on indie? And he was like, and this was the guy talking. He was like, let me tell you, it's like, I got a guarantee. These other guys are stupid. They go on the house. I got the guaranteed money. I'm thinking, okay. I was like, so what do you get? He's like, $25. It's like, wow. So you missed a shift at work, $25 fucking dollars, and you're on a. So what are these guys? If you're making the big money on the guarantee at 25, what do the guys in the house get? $5-6? They're idiots. I'd run a show 5 nights a week if I could have free talent like that.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, like I said, I think there's some people out there right now working for freaking free just to get on an indie. And then also what sucks is like Vince let so many people go, you know what I mean, that now a lot of my friends that are indie guys, we're getting overlooked, because they're bringing in them guys who just got released, But, yeah, if AJ Styles, man, back to that point you made, AJ goes to AEW, man, they reach some unbelievable freaking matches. And he will go to Japan because, believe me, Danielson's going to Japan too. And he'll get 100, right? Because I know Jericho is making $100,000 in Japan a night. Okay, I mean, I was there once when Hulk Hogan made $800,000 one night at the Tokyo Dome. I'm scratching my head. I'm like, looking at my paycheck, looking at my partner's paycheck, and I'm just imagining 800,000, like the zeros. Like, how many would there be? I'm just like, what the fuck? I got to go take a shit. I was like, pissed, man. But that's the truth, man. But, eventually we started making good money. I mean, we only had to work half of a year. That's what, 25 weeks, 27 weeks or something like that?
You can't beat that.
No, we did that for half the year, and then the rest of the time we were in ECW. And it was perfect because we were in ECW before. So we just went back. All we did was go back. I mean, if you want to think about it, we were 4, 5, 6-time tag team champions of ECW. If you want to think about it, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, that company was around for a long time and stayed up. You know, like I said, I came home from Japan and 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm laying in on the couch with my leg in a cast because I just had knee surgery. And I see Eastern Championship Wrestling. I said, that can't be the company I work for. And there it was. I was like, oh, shit. I said, okay. I want to heal up quick. And then I got to call Todd Gordon and Sandman up. That's what I did. That's what I did. And because my first tour to Japan, I blew my knee, so I had to get it fixed. And then I went back. And worked for many other companies. I mean, we worked for FMW. We had the belts there. Wings, we had the belts there. We even wrestled for Noah. Well, I wrestled for Noah. Anthony never had a chance to wrestle for Noah.
I guess we've been going here about an hour, and I've never, ever, none of either of us have ever teased anything. Next week, I would really like to talk to you a lot about FMW because this week, fans, if you're watching this, tomorrow night, Dark Side of the Ring is all about FMW.
Oh, that's tomorrow?
Yeah, it's tomorrow, and I loved it. Well, it's actually Thursday. We put this up Wednesday. I loved FMW. I bought the tapes. You worked in FMW. We're both going to watch Dark Side of the Ring FMW.
I was part. Me and Balls Mahoney were part of the ECW takeover of FMW.
I remember that show. That was a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Raven Dreamer fought there, I believe, because I heard his story, and I'll end it with this. I heard his story that the Dudleys and Sandman were trying to think of a finish, and Onita didn't know what to do, and apparently the Sandman went, "I got it. I'm going to come in and jap you, and then you Pearl Harbor me."
Yeah. The whole locker room went silent. When he said Pearl Harbor me, you could hear a fucking pin drop on the ground. We were all like, you didn't just fucking say Pearl Harbor, dude.
About to get some fingers cut off and shit.
Bro, the Japs were even like, they were looking at us thinking we were going to start beating their asses or something. Like everybody was so uncomfortable, man. And I remember Todd Gordon hacking the back or something, saying, "Shut the fuck up, man. You know what the fuck you just said?" And we were like in a corner, you know, and I'm just like, oh my God. I said, you know what? We'll talk later. I just rolled. Like, I remember that, man. That was the first time Sandman ever went to Japan. So, stupid shit like that happening. Plus, he was drunk. Didn't help the situation. You know what I mean?
As I'm going to be prepared next week, I'm going to ask you a shitload of FMW questions.
Oh yeah, I'm down with FMW. I loved it. Bed of nails, barbed wire. I had a barbed wire bat stuck to my chest once. Doug Gilbert, man, he let it go and it just hung there. And I'm on my knees and I just put my arms up like this and the place went crazy because they just saw the blood was just pouring everywhere. But yeah, I had a blast in FMW. I made a lot of money in FMW, man. I would come home with a briefcase of money. No bullshit.
That's definitely going to be the main focal point on next week's episode. I might even title the episode, "I'll Jap You, You Pearl Harbor Me."
Oh, nice. That'll be good. Words from the Sandman.